Hi, welcome back to Your Joyful Life, the show that helps you get more joy in your life and in your work. I'm Anne Scottlin, motivational coach, author, and teacher, and it's my goal to help you live your best version of yourself. And I was waking up grumpy. So, more on that in a second. Right now, I'm really excited to tell you that I'm bringing you a 3-part series about finding joy in your work. So many of my clients and others that I've talked to recently have been just kind of struggling in their work. There seems to be so much struggle, sometimes even when you like your work, and just very little joy. And I want to talk about that today because that seems to be a real issue. So many people are working from home right now. Some of them have to work from home. Others are entrepreneurs. Others are people who are working still at a desk job in a company. But nevertheless, they're still all struggling to find more joy in their work. Now, there's a couple lucky people out there, more than a couple, who do have joy in their work. But there's always parts that aren't so joyful, so we want to talk about that too. And so in this 3-part series for today's show, I have a question for you. Is your work ethic making you unhappy? Is your work ethic making you unhappy? And I'd love to have you answer that question in the comments. Is your work ethic making you unhappy? Now that can mean how you're working. Is how you're working making you unhappy, or why you're working? Or are you working too much? Or are you working too little and feeling guilty about it? And why are you working too much if you are? And it can even be if you don't have a job at all right now, but want one, or are pursuing other interests other than a job, but somewhere where you still want to focus your time and energy and you still want to find joy in it, right? So that is what I'm going to be talking about today. Looking at your work ethic and seeing if it's making you happy or unhappy. And before I go further, I just want to remind you, please like and subscribe and stick around, because in a few minutes at the end of this episode, I am going to share some of the messages you all have sent in, and I love doing that because I love y'all. So I woke up so grumpy. My brain was feeling grumpy. My body felt grumpy. I couldn't figure out why I was grumpy. This was happening a couple weeks ago when I decided I wanted to do this episode. And I couldn't figure it out. I was even grumpy about the fact that I couldn't figure out why I was grumpy. I just didn't understand what was happening. And I felt grumpy about the work I had to get up and do, which is strange for me because I love my job. I love my work. I love working with you all. I love being an entrepreneur. I love working with you, my clients. And I work a lot of hours. And I really enjoy most of it a lot. It's exciting. And it's always an exploration. It's always a challenge. I love a challenge. So it took me a few days to figure out why I was feeling like that, or one way of describing it. And I finally stumbled on it. It's my work ethic. My work ethic is making me unhappy right now. It's too much of a good thing. I don't know how you grew up. We all grew up differently, right? But I grew up in a family where work ethic was really, really important. You kind of didn't have a choice not to have a good work ethic, which is funny because sometimes I would get lazy just to act out and not do what I was supposed to do. But mostly I grew up with a great work ethic and I really liked to work. I had parents who set tremendous examples of working, maybe a little too much sometimes. Because what was happening when I was waking up grumpy is my work ethic, my dedication to my work, not just the dedication, but what I was doing with what I thought was a good work ethic was making me work way too much, way too long, way too late. When you're still working on your phone in bed at 1 a.m., oh, please don't tell anybody I said that. That is terrible. That is such a terrible, terrible, terrible habit. And I'm working on breaking that because I got sick of waking up grumpy. And I realized I was grumpy because my brain was never getting a rest. Your brain is an organ just like any other part of your body, right? And when you're working out and your legs get tired, you're like, oh, I just can't take one more step. I got to take a rest. Or when you're, doing something with your hands over and over and over, and they finally get tired, like, I just can't do this anymore. I have to take a rest. Well, your brain is also that way. And when you get tired, your brain really, really needs a rest. And if you keep working and keep working and keep working, you'll never have that opportunity. You'll never have the opportunity for your brain to relax and replenish. Too much work can be too much of a good thing. When your work ethic goes too far, when you're not doing it in a healthy way anymore, it can really be destructive, and it can steal your happiness. It can steal your joy. Waking up grumpy, because I wasn't getting rest. I wasn't getting self-care. I wasn't taking time to play with my dogs. I wasn't taking time to talk to family and friends. I wasn't taking time for me. And I wasn't taking enough time to clear my mind and rest and replenish. And the opposite is true about work ethic too, right? Too little work. Too little work can also be a problem. Maybe that means laziness. Maybe that just means you're not lazy, but you put in a good hour and that's it. And so you're always living with the consequences of doing too little work. Why do you have that work ethic? And what's going on there? Because it might not be too much of a good thing. It might be too little of a good thing. And why is that? Why is it too little? Some kind of self-sabotage could be going on there. Some kind of conflict. Some kind of resistance to doing what you feel like you should do. Should you be doing it? I hate the word should. Should be eliminated from the English language. Should sucks. It's a terrible word. Because we use it all the time. You should do this. You shouldn't do that. You should do this. You shouldn't do that. But what it does is it doesn't give us the opportunity to look deep within myself, yourself, and say, why do I have this work ethic? Why do I continue to practice it if I'm not happy? And what can I do to find happiness in my work? So this can even be relatable if you don't have a job. Maybe your work ethic is that you should be looking for a job. Maybe your work ethic is that you can't look for a job and you want to turn your attention to something else. Are you building something? Are you creating something? Are you making something? That's still work. That's still where your work ethic comes in. Even creatives can run into this, right? A lot creatives run into this. Writers, actors, directors, producers, poets, artists, musicians, anyone who's a real dedication to creative work often run into this work ethic problem where they're so dedicated, they're so devoted that they can easily stop taking care of themselves. And that's no good. So is your work ethic making you unhappy? Is it? Ask yourself, is your work ethic really serving you or not serving you? That's a pretty simple answer. I'll ask myself right now, Anne, is your work ethic serving you or not serving you? Well, it's serving me in that I get a lot done and in that I'm moving towards my goals and growing my business and making great connections. But it's not serving me in that I can't sustain that amount of energy output if I'm not taking care of my instrument, of me, if I'm not resting my mind, if I'm not resting my body, if I'm not just relishing those moments that I can have of joy and happiness. That can be in the middle of work. If I'm working at home and my dogs come bouncing in, then you know what? Put the work down and play with them for 5 minutes. It makes me happy. Or going for a walk outside, or talking to a friend briefly on the phone, or whatever it is, or even just changing it up at work. Sometimes changing from one activity to another can give you the break you need. So ask yourself, is your work ethic really serving you or not serving you? Because if it's not, or if it's in some way not, then that's something you probably really want to take a look at. And I have another question. Would you be willing to adapt your work ethic if you could have more joy, more happiness, more positive energy in your life? Oh, that would mean change. No change. Would you be willing to adapt your work ethic, whether it's too much or whether it's too little, if you could have more joy and happiness and positive energy in your life. Some people are so addicted to their work ethic, and this is a real opportunity to look deep within and see where you stand on this subject. Some people are so addicted to their work ethic, or lack thereof, depending on who the person is, that they would really rather be trapped in the pattern they're in than have more happiness and joy and pleasure in their life. And it's hard to admit if you're in a place like that. So ask yourself these tough questions. Well, how do you find the joy? To find your joy, you need to welcome it. You need to welcome life. You need to have a little love towards yourself. You have a little self-acceptance. Wow, I've been really tired lately. My work ethic has been kind of overwhelming my common sense to a certain extent. I need to take care of myself. I need to love myself. Hey, good job, you, for working hard and working towards your goal. Really good job. And, Anne, I want to support you in continuing the good work you're doing by resting your instrument, by taking breaks, by going to bed much earlier, by stopping working much earlier than going to bed, by taking little moments in the day to breathe, to drink water, to play with my dogs, to go for a walk, to read a good book, to listen to music I enjoy, to talk to a friend on the phone for a few moments. What are your things, little things that bring you happiness? What are little ways you show love and care to yourself? And you can also have some self-acceptance. Like, I know I like to work a lot and I like to work hard, and I accept that about me. But I'm also dedicated to preserving my ability to do that by taking care of myself, connecting to that happiness, connecting to my joy. And if you want some really practical applications on how to find your joy, how to connect to your joy, because some people are kind of like, what's the difference between happiness and joy again? Well, there are some differences. So if you would like, I challenge you to go online to my website at AnneScottlin.com, ANNESCOTTLIN, AnneScottlin.com. Scroll down on the main page, and there you will find my free Joy Journal, which is a 1-week activity that you can have for free. You just journal a sentence or two in the morning and at night, and you'll be really surprised and glad, I think, to see how you can start noticing joy in your life and how you can also start finding what takes joy out of your life, like too much of an overactive work ethic can take joy out of your life, and you'll wake up grumpy. So don't want to do that for you or anyone around you. Now, you might even find joy in your work, which is very lucky. I think I said before, some people can and do and love their work. I love a lot of my work. I do not love all of it. I love most of it. But there are times even when I'm doing tasks that I just hate doing, and I can still find joy in me. It's about bringing the joy in yourself to the work. It's tapping into the joy that is in you that will bring joy to your work. It's tapping into the joy that's already inside you that's going to bring joy to your work. And you can find other ways to discover joy. Look online, check out my Joy Journal. And while you're on my website, you can also find other ways of working with me personally if that's something that you want to do to really tap into your joy and connect it. So this 3-part series that I've just begun today about finding joy in your work has me really excited, because I think as we go out through this year, having joy in our work, having joy in ourselves on an ongoing basis, having a bottom line of joy, having it even you out, having it be the keel on the boat of your life, finding joy in yourself is going to bring you joy in your work. Even when you don't love what you're doing, you can still find joy. And next time, I'm on the next episode of the 3 about finding joy in your work. Next time, I'm going to talk about multitasking. Sound familiar? Multitasking, the aggravation of efficiency. See, I'm twitching just thinking about that. Multitasking. It really does aggravate me so much. So I am going to also pulling out my iPad here real quick because I told you I was going to read you guys a couple messages that you sent in. And I always love it when you send messages. Please keep doing that. Please send them on my website, send them on Twitter when you're checking out the feed there at Anne Scottlin, or on Instagram, on YouTube, anywhere where you may be listening to this podcast. I love hearing from you, and it motivates, encourages me so much. So I have a couple of people that I want to shout out to today. The first one is Stefan from Bulgaria. Hi, Stefan. He says, Anne, when I listen to your show, I find it healing to the mind, to the body, and the soul. Oh, that's really beautiful. Healing to the mind, the body, and the soul. Thank you so much, Stefan. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate you. Thanks for writing in, for leaving your comments, for following. I'm so glad I can bring you some content that is really encouraging to you and giving you some healing and peace. Keep coming back for more and keep sharing those positive words online that you share. I always enjoy them. And then also Rahul. Rahul wrote in and he says, I watched and subscribed to your channel. Another beautiful, inspirational, motivating video to spread love, happiness, and joy. Thank you very much, Anne. You guys always make me feel so grateful. You really humble me with your kind words. And I just want to thank you for that because it means a lot to me. And when you write me messages, when you say little words of encouragement or gratitude and sharing that with other people in the feed as well, that makes me so happy and literally makes my day and makes me want to do more of this. So thank you again so much. And as always, you can reach out on any of those platforms, Twitter, Instagram, at Anne Scottlin. And I can't wait to give you the next episode of this 3-part series. So I'll see you next time on Your Joyful Life. Bye.